Why don't we go to break? Because we got Terry Gilliam here.
Yeah.
And we'll get into it with him about the new movie. And
it's called the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
Yeah, wow.
It's in theaters on Christmas Day.
And Jimmy saw half the movie so far and loved it.
Loved what I saw.
I can't wait to talk to Terry Gilliam. Life of Brian, right?
Fucking
meaning of life, right?
Yeah,
12 Monkeys.
Big part
12
of
Monkeys.
Monty Python.
Oh,
He's
my
a
God.
legend.
Holy shit, 12 Monkeys was a great movie, too.
No.
Yeah, my God. How cool is this? Terry Gilliam in studio. What's up, sir? Just coming in and meeting all of us for the first time?
Yes, indeed. I'm terribly frightened and nervous.
Oh, no.
No,
Oh,
stop.
please be gentle with me.
No reason to be at all.
We should be
I know, we got
frightened
like
of you. You're Terry Gilliam.
No, I'm not. You've never seen the real Terry Gilliam. I'm a fraud. I'm a double.
Where'd he go?
We were just going over everything you've done, and we're just blown away. 12
Yeah.
Monkeys. Come on.
Yeah, it's a wasted
The
life.
Monty
I've
Python
lived.
stuff.
Yeah, that was 40 years ago.
My God.
I know you're walking.
Whoa.
You know, this is a walking corpse here.
No.
You really are, though, in the comedy world. I mean, you really are royalty. I mean, Python. It's just there's no. I've never heard a disrespectful thing said about Monty Python or anything they've done by anybody in comedy. You just not one person in comedy has ever went, eh.
It's very influential.
Yeah.
How'd you get tied up with them being an American?
They needed somebody to make them feel superior.
Oh, is that it?
Yes,
that
I was
makes
brought in.
sense.
Yes, because I didn't speak the language. And
Yes. The Queen's English.
so they could go around, oh, Terry, isn't that very interesting? It says bunch. It says bunch of water a moment ago. Oh, fantastic. That's called a lake, Terry.
Yeah.
So was it the animation that brought you with them?
No, it actually began here in New York. After college, I went and I was working on a magazine called Help. I was editing it with Harvey Kurtzman, who began Mad Comics.
Oh, wow.
And we did these things called fumetti, which were basically like a cartoon strip, except they were photographs. It was, like a still movie. And people talked in bubbles. And I was always getting actors to appear in them for $15 a day we could pay. And there was a thing called Cambridge Circus, which was the Footlights Review from Cambridge University, and John Cleese, Graham Chapman were in it, and several other people that went on to become the Goodies. I got John to appear in one of these photo stories, and we became friends, and years later I went off to England, and he, by then, was quite successful in television. I was still working in magazines. I said I want to get into television. He introduced me to some people. I started doing stuff. And then the stuff was with a kids comedy program that Mike Palin, Terry Jones, and Eric Idle were writing and performing. And that was the beginning of the connection.
Do you realize that a lot of first sexual images that a lot of guys in my age bracket saw was on Monty Python on public television, and it was a lot of your animations showed topless women,
Large-breasted women, yes.
Large-breasted women. And it was kind of, it was very exciting to see that at that age. You'd watch it on public television.
It was hard to find naked women when we were growing up. So we want to bow to you that you gave us a little something to look at.
My first direction was Eric Idle in The Life of Brian.
No, and we got to play women as well.
Yes.
Wearing false breasts.
Yeah, a lot of cross-dressing going on.
There's something free about it. It was actually frightening when you first come to England because, drag acts are very funny. They've been traditional in England. And it's kind of a shock. You don't realize at first you assume, okay, there's some kind of weird sexuality going on. They're just men who dress up as women and it frees you.
Yeah, with the voices too, of course. The penguin on the telly and all that fun stuff.
It's liberating, this stuff.
Apparently, you guys did it a lot.
His argument about I want to have babies. You want to have babies? It's just so silly and bizarre and
you
just
don't
brilliant.
have a womb. Where are you going to keep it? And it goes.
It really was very. Was it as cutting edge over there as it was here? Because in America, Monty Python was just like there was nothing else like it.
And I think Python came from a tradition. I don't know how familiar people were with Spike Milligan over here. He was part of the Goon Show, which Peter Sellers had been part of. And that was one of the things that brought me to England, this very anarchic, surreal comedy. And I think we were just the children of that. And then, obviously, our children have been South Park and Saturday Night Live and blah, blah, blah. You just pass it on.
Yeah.
Did you guys resent like the big names in in British comedy, at least in America, we're always, you heard about Monty Python and Benny Hill. Like, those were the two shows. Did you guys like Benny Hill, or did you look down on Benny Hill, or did you think it was...
Well, that was always was funny when it came to America, because somehow we were compared. We seemed to be the same kind of comedy.
Oh, hell no.
And we just went, what the fuck is this? The man just does tit jokes. Sorry, we do tit jokes as well. No, we seem to be at opposite ends in England, but in America, it was
very different. Yeah, the two shows.
I never understood that. Yeah, there was a lot of just great Monty Python, a lot of great non sequiturs that just didn't make any sense, but were hysterically funny.
I don't know.
Sitting there going, "What the hell did I just say?"
Well, we had 6 people, all who were pretty good at what they did, and nobody telling us don't do that, don't work for this kind of audience. It was just to please ourselves.
Right.
In fact, it pleased a lot of people. It was quite a big surprise to all of us.
We remember those days. Those days were fun. When you just did it to please yourself, and you didn't have to worry about lawyers and political correctness and all that other horse shit.
Just go into the bathroom,
we
close
had a few
the door,
years
get the magazine out, and please yourself.
Please yourself.
We had a few years of that. It was nice.
And now you're corporate, are you?
Yeah.
Now we're fighting the
corporate
shills. We're fighting the good fight. You'd be proud, but
we try.
But it's getting exhausting.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, this is actually what's happening. It's happening in films and everything. All the talent is being pushed out, and the last people on the sinking boat are the bureaucrats.
Yes.
Ba-boom.
Yeah, they never fire each other. They just go from job to job. They give themselves raises when they put raises. This is every company on a freeze on everybody else, and they never fire themselves for their shitty programming decisions. It's just the talent that gets dumped. Eric Idle said something recently, maybe it was a year ago, about likability, because there's an obsession with likability in comedy, and he goes, I don't want you to be likable, I want you to be funny. Like, I like somebody who makes me laugh. And he's right. This obsession with being nice and being marketable and pinchable, it's like, that doesn't mean you're funny.
Yeah. No. I mean, we went out of our way to shock people all the time. It was trying to keep people awake. Television is such a deadening kind of art form. So if we could do things to shock, there was one thing we never did, which I wanted to do, which was do a program where we're slowly turning the sound down as we're doing this thing. So it's down to almost nothing, and everybody giving people at home time to get up and turn the volume up on their television set, and man, blast them with the biggest sound we could and blow up every set in the country. We didn't do that.
We kind of did something like that on radio.
Yeah?
Yeah. We said we had something really important, but we have to whisper it, so turn up your radio real loud. And then we blasted a scream.
Great.
Yeah.
I think it's important. I mean, I think with Python, also what was easier then, which, you had 3, then 4 channels in England, television. So everybody was seeing the show at the same time. I mean, now everything is the great diaspora has occurred. There's a million radio stations, there's 900 television stations. So that experience of all being together, an entire country doing something together at one time.
Yeah, true. It's DVR'd, everything's, watched at a different time. You can record it and then watch it later. And there isn't that really the next day where people start talking about what they saw the previous night.
Which was such a great feeling when everyone was talking about the exact same thing.
And that's what was happening.
Now there's a weird catch-up thing. Like, I talked about that 2 weeks ago.
It's hard. I'm curious whether we'll all come back to a smaller number of sources.
I think
the social networking is helping that. Because, is
it helping or hurting it?
Well, no, like the Tiger Woods thing. I mean, everyone's on it right now. You know what I mean? They're just
every woman in the country's on it.
Barely on it.
There's money.
Yeah. What do you think of that whole thing?
Tiger and his Woody.
You think it's a great story, isn't it?
It's incredible. I mean, to have somebody that clean, perfect, to suddenly become human.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. And apparently they're saying, I didn't realize, we were talking about it last night, that, golf is the most adulterous sport out there. And finally he's blown the cover of the whole thing. And all the golfers hate him.
Yeah, and it's like, now look what you did.
Yeah.
We've all
been out
nice
there playing our 9 holes. Ha ha. Actually, I think it's 10 now, isn't it?
We're up to 10. We're on the back 9. We're starting the back 9 there, Terry. Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we all know that a lot of these athletes are cheating when they're on the road, but golf was one of those things like, these guys can't possibly be cheating. It's golf.
And apparently they're the worst.
Oh, they're going to hate him.
Nobody's interested in their personal lives. Their personal lives are seen as so dull compared to the NBA or the NFL. And now you hear wow, these guys are pieces of shit. It's like, fantastic.
Oh, did she really hit him? Is that where it started?
We're trying to figure that out.
Like there's so many he's doing a good job of keeping everything kind of half out there. Like, you only got half the story out there. And
he hasn't been photographed, has he?
No.
So the swelling is going down, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, you hear the latest? There's a woman that was rushed to the hospital from his house?
Yeah.
What?
2 o'clock
a few hours ago. For real. The picture, if you could look to that screen, whatever. It's not. It's not facing your way, but a blonde woman was rushed from Tiger's home.
Looks like his wife
on advanced life support to the hospital.
For real.
Oh,
amazing.
No.
That's the latest.
That's actually the bad side.
The story just gets like
better and better.
Ridiculous, though. It's just how many things are going to go on with this guy now.
At some point, I mean, I think the country almost needs it because there's such a hypocrisy. Everybody's pretending things are fine and under control, which they're obviously not. And Tiger's now, open the Pandora's box. All of our lives will be revealed soon.
Yeah, there's no shutting that one, man. Yeah. He's going to have to just fess up to it or quit the game and just leave.
Sure.
Go into exile. I want to talk to you about movies. Now, how did you make that jump? And was it easy for you? I mean,
yeah, it actually was. I mean, I always wanted to direct films, but I couldn't see how one worked one's way up through the system. I've never been good at making tea for other people and all that stuff. And so it's finally when, with Python, we'd become successful enough that people wanted to give us money to make a movie. And Terry Jones and I both were hankering to do the job. We said, anybody named Terry gets to direct, and we raised our hands and everybody agreed with us, and we were directors.
Wow, you just volunteered for it.
Yeah, we got it. And I've been working my way down from the top ever since.
What was the first movie?
Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail, of course.
One of my favorite lines from that movie, I don't know why, is when the killer rabbit, he just goes, "Rabbit stew coming up." I don't know why, that's so great.
But that's one of my few lines in that film. Rabbit stew coming up. It was what was so interesting about that film is we didn't have any actual experience in filmmaking, but we all knew the principles and we'd been doing television. And we get up in Glencoe in the mountains of Scotland, and the equipment had to be carried down from the road, down across the raging river, up the other mountainside to the Bridge of Death, which is there. And on our very first day, the camera broke on our very first shot. And that was our introduction to filmmaking.
Yeah, great.
The other great thing is that 2 weeks before we started shooting up there, we were thrown out of all the castles that we were supposed to be shooting because the National Trust said we wouldn't respect the dignity of the fabric of the building. These are places where the most awful tortures and rapes and pillagings have gone on. But a bit of comedy, we're going to take the walls down like Jericho.
One of my favorite lines is, someday this will all be yours. What the curtains. That's a good one.
No, it holds up, that film.
Yeah, absolutely does. I remember watching that just years ago, and of course, maybe partaking in a little marijuana with my friends and watching it, and just hysterical, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it does still hold up.
It definitely holds up.
And a film like 12 Monkeys, I love that whole concept, that whole time travel and paradox and kind of weird thing going on. And a lot of those strange, I don't know, mechanics, the gearing and all that weird kind of thing. Was that coming from you?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. I just love the idea of you've got to rebuild society, civilization, and all you've got are scraps, bits of things.
Yeah.
And you're sort of gluing them all together and sewing them up and trying to make a system that works. And yeah, I love all that. I love it's either the decay of things or the reconstitution of things.
Yeah, it seems you've always been into like gears and cogs.
Yeah. It's how things work. At least they used to work until the electronic age come. Now, I'm so frustrated because before a cog, you could get your file out and make it work or clean it out. I don't know what happens now. We just throw things away.
Throw it away, buy a new one.
Yeah, exactly.
What makes you laugh? What would you say is your favorite all-time comedy or something that you can watch over and over and laugh?
I don't do. It's like I don't even watch Python because laughter to me is based on surprise. And that's what always gets me. So it's like someone like Bill Hicks. I'd never seen his work. And then somebody said, Bill Hicks, you got to see it. And I got all these CDs, DVDs of his stuff. And the man is an utter genius.
Yeah. I love Bill Hicks.
Oh, I mean, when I was younger, it was Lenny Bruce. Because he really did break the bounds. And we did something in Life of Brian, it was a bit Lenny Bruce-like, because he was trying to always take the sting out of words. And you can't say the N, all this thing, people are frightened of words. And the minute you're frightened of words, you're frightened of thinking. It starts happening. So we've got this scene in Life of Brian where Brian, his mother says he's son of a Roman. And Roman? I'm a Jew. I'm a Red Sea pedestrian, a kike, a shady. He says every derogative word you could say to somebody Jewish, and I'm proud of it, is what he says. And I thought that was so important to take all the words, all the negative words, pile them together and say, fuck you, I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
You call me whatever you want.
We still haven't learned our lesson.
No.
Because now the N-word thing is ridiculous. Now more people are actually saying the word by saying the N-word.
We got into a thing recently in London. Somebody was referring to black Americans and said African Americans, and
right.
They were told no. They said Afro Americans, and it was corrected because African Americans. So the N letter is still very important, if not the N word.
Apparently, yes.
And that kind of distinction is ridiculous because it's missing the point. I mean, to me, because I was very much involved in the civil rights movement, and I thought the whole point was we would all be equal, so skin color didn't matter. So if it's a black guy, I could call him a bastard because he's a bastard, not because he's black. Or, anybody. I just want that freedom and to be honest about who people are and what they are.
Yeah, how come you can't just call someone an asshole if they're being an asshole without being accused of having
racism
some
or
sexism
motive?
Some kind of sinister motive. Sometimes people are just assholes.
Yeah. And you want to be able to use the words that are appropriate.
Exactly. Yes.
Good English.
Did you guys get any, was there any criticism you got in for doing Python that actually surprised you? Or things that people objected to that you were like, I can't believe they're bothered by that?
It was actually John Cleese actually vetoed one little bit of mine, one animation of mine, which was shocking. We had this principle that if somebody in the group didn't like it so severely that they could actually exercise a veto. And we had a thing going on about silly religions. And at one point, this silly vicar is on the phone and there's some sort of interference on the phone line. And I'm following telephone poles with the lines going, and we're bouncing across the countryside. And suddenly, boom, we come to one and there's a robber hanging on it, and the next one has got Jesus hanging on it, and the next robber, it's the crucifixion, and that was the static on the line, and John panicked about it and said, I'm going to use my veto, and it was cut out of the show.
Did he panic about that because of repercussions he thought was going to happen, or did it personally?
I think it was repercussions. I think he thought we were going to offend too many people. But then we went on and did Life of Brian.
Yeah, which, wow.
And back then, that was something, like in the mid-'70s, early 70s, that was something going, like the church, that wouldn't get you in trouble. Islam would get you in trouble. But back then, addressing Catholicism like that would get you in trouble.
Real brave for the time.
Well, in the States, I mean, I remember Variety, the trade magazine, Showbiz magazine, there were on one whole page about Life of Brian. There were 2 columns on the Catholics protesting, 2 columns on the Jews protesting. Two columns on the Protestants. We got them all. And I thought, that's
how happy were you? Yeah, all right. They did the thumbs up. Yeah, good.
Your movie, I saw, here's the story behind this movie, which I saw half it, and I'll tell you why. We got to screen our DVDs, and we get up at 5 in the morning to do this. And I put it on last night, and I didn't want to fall asleep because I have been up for almost 24 hours, and I loved it. I mean, I'm not being polite. It was fucking great. It's visually like in a really an amazing movie. It's like they're traveling around in what looks like how would you describe the apparatus they're traveling in? It's like a stage show that travels, but it folds up and it's a house. It's like
almost this very weird gigantic wagon, horse drawn, that opens up, like a pop-up book. And it kind of opens up like that, and there's this fantastic little stage there with this strange show going on. The idea was that this thing almost comes from another time into a modern city, and it's the most extraordinary thing you've ever seen, and nobody's paying attention. They're too busy drinking or shopping, and there's wondrousness there. And this is Dr. Parnassus and his traveling Imaginarium.
It's so great because I won't give anything away, but there's one scene where this thing is parked on top of a bridge, and it's in a modern city, and there's this thing from what looks like the 1800s parked, and there's a guy who is hanging by the neck under a bridge. It's just a great movie. Tom Waits is in it. He's fantastic.
It's brilliant.
We got to ask you about Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
I mean, that almost blew the whole project. I mean,
well, halfway through the film, we just finished shooting in London. We've been 4 weeks, and we finished on a Saturday night. Heath went to New York. I went to Vancouver, where we're going to do all the blue screen work. And 2 days later, I come into the office, and there on the BBC website, Heath Ledger found dead, which was clearly impossible. I mean, we've been together before.
I was going to ask you, were there any signs on set, right?
This man was so full of life and vitality and fun. And even now, I mean, we're now talking 2 years, whatever it's been. It's hard to even work it out in my head what happened, because I don't know what happened. He just suddenly was alive, and then he was dead. And we had a little problem then. How do you finish a film halfway through when the star isn't there? And I didn't really know what I was going to do, but I called Johnny Depp up because he was a very close friend of Heath's. And I said, I don't know what to do. I might just go home, close the whole thing down, because I don't know. And he says, well, whatever you decide to do, I'll be there. Wow. And that was the beginning of the salvation of the movie. And then I basically did a little bit of rewriting, and decided every time you go through this magic mirror in the Imaginarium, if you're with somebody else, their imagination may be stronger than yours, and they may be imagining you the way they would like you to be, and suddenly you have passed Johnny Depp, Colin Farrell, and Jude Law all become other aspects of the character that Heath was playing. And it works. And people who've seen it, who don't know the whole story, just assume it was written.
And that's how it was written.
What's amazing is you got those three guys.
Yeah, but I mean, I just started calling close friends of Heath because I really wanted to keep it in the family. And, and they were able to adjust their schedules, and we did it. And they did it, to make it even more amazing, they did it for nothing. They gave all their money to his daughter.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
This does not happen in showbiz.
No.
It's the one we would like to, but and I don't think it's ever happened in the cinema. And the fact that it works is what I begin to think at a certain point. I get almost spiritual about it. I think there's a movie god making the movie.
Sure.
I'm just the hand that writes.
Everyone is saying you pulled it off. Everybody. Because most people at first are like, wow, I guess this is it. There's no way he's going to be able to, figure this one out. But you did.
It works.
You definitely did.
Yep.
The reviews on it are great.
Oh, it's a fantastic. I don't normally like my movies. This one is extraordinary because I don't think I made it. I think the movie god made it.
Why don't you like your movies?
No, I get. Listen,
just because you're too close to it.
Yeah, when you've been on it so long, and when you're cutting a movie, I've probably seen it 150 times. At a certain point, enough. I want to get on and start living a life again.
Sure.
Yeah, but no, I also want to be able to get away from them. So maybe 10 years later, I can come back and look at them and see them like not me, but as just any old buddy going in and watching a movie. Mm-hmm. I've never seen one of my own movies not as me.
Really? Yeah, true. So, yeah. I always wonder about directors that have such a distinct look to their films. I mean, you could look at Kubrick, obviously. Spielberg's another one that you just watch the movie, and from the camera moves, you just know it's a Spielberg movie. You have that also. You watch the movie, and just from the way the camera's moving and other aspects of the direction, you know it's you. Are you conscious of doing that, or is that just something that happens like handwriting would? Or?
Yeah, it is. It's that sometimes people want to talk about it, and I don't know what they're talking about because I can't describe it. I don't know what it is I do. I just do. It's the way I see things. It's as simple as that. And I obviously have astigmatism or something going on there because it doesn't look like other people's stuff.
It's just odd to me because and it's such a simplistic way to put it because it's like saying, all right, an artist has a paintbrush and a canvas and some paint, they should all look the same. But you're taking a camera, a lens, and moving it, but somehow you're doing it differently than anyone else and putting such a distinct look on it that you identify it as one of your movies. And it is such an original and just stunning look to a movie. I really, that's what I love about your films. 12 Monkeys was a great example of when he's in the future, and everything almost had a fisheye lens look to it. It was a very weird, detached place.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, also a really, really shot
just an amazing movie.
There's a kind of, I don't know, you get yourself into the movie, and then I do incredible research, prepare for the whole thing, and on every level, and also I'm kind of playing God because I get to create a world, and every detail I'm involved in the detail. And then
that's obvious, yeah.
I use wide-angle lenses because it's about not just people, but it's about people in an environment, a place, so that everything is part of the storytelling.
Yeah,
process.
It's always very big. There's a lot of size and grandeur to your shots.
You smoke a lot of pot.
Interestingly enough, I don't.
Where's that craziness coming from?
I don't know. Natural mutation. Darwin would be so excited about what's going on in my head.
Because your imagination is just, wow.
Actually, it was really funny. With Python and all my movies, they always thought we were druggies.
Right.
And we never were.
Really?
No, we just, it's that awful John Denver natural high business, which I was gag. But I realized I'm a natural high guy.
little booze.
Ah, yes. Now you're single malt
you
whiskey. You're fine tequila. Now we're talking.
Okay, there you go.
Hey, how do you feel about like you said, comedy is taking you off guard, which it is. It's catching you by surprise. Like something like a brilliant thing like Sellers and the Pink Panther being remade and bastardized here.
I was on the plane a few months ago coming to L.A., and there it was. There was Steve Martin's Pink Panther, which I hadn't seen, and I couldn't believe what I was watching. And luckily, the original Pink Panther was on as well, and I switched on to that. And you just realize how sublimely brilliant Sellers was, and how... I mean, I know Steve. He's a really brilliant guy. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know what he thought he was doing.
Saying that.
It's a terrible,
saying that.
Terrible bastardization of a great film and a great character.
We hate when comedies are remade. We just hate it. Other movies, you remake them because, like Anthony has brought up, the technology is different, so you can give it a cooler look or whatever. But comedies, leave them alone. They are what they are.
Exactly, and especially when it's something so specific. It was Peter Sellers is what made that.
Right, exactly.
And so, okay, I'm going to be the new Peter Sellers, and I'm Steve Martin. It's a completely different kind of comedy.
Yep.
It's a different kind of character. I mean, when I saw, because I hadn't seen the original for so long, and Sellers, he broke your heart because he was so innocent in this thing.
Yeah.
And his wife is cheating on, everybody is cheating on him, and he's just floating through it. It's a tear. I love that kind of comedy. It makes me cry at the same time I'm laughing.
Like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was a good one. John Candy was such a sap, such a broken sap of a guy, and Steve Martin was great in that as a prick. I don't know what he's like. I've only met him once for half a second, but I imagine that's what he's really like. Well, so it came off as great.
That's why I like the English version of The Office so much better than the American version, because it's you feel bad for the guy because he's such an ass.
You got it.
He's just such an ass, and it's not this over-the-top psychotic thing that they wound up doing with the American character. It's just this sad sack who thinks he's funny and people just criticize him right to his face, and he doesn't want to acknowledge it, but he does know. Like, that to me is brilliant.
I love that. I mean, it's really funny because it'd become a big success, the whole first series, and I'm always in my own world, so I hadn't watched any of it. And I was over at my brother-in-law's house for Christmas, and he had the box set of the whole first series. And I put one on, saying, "You've got to see what The Office is like."
And it's
put
like
one on. I watched the whole series.
That was it.
Guilty. Did the same exact thing.
His face is brilliant.
But I mean, sad sack. He's so desperate. But the idea of having like a documentary film being made, and he's always smiling to the camera. He's got a special relationship with the camera. It is. There's
an awkwardness and an embarrassment that you feel. It doesn't just make you laugh. You actually are cringing for this guy.
Yeah.
And to evoke that from somebody, an emotion like where you're alone watching it, yet you're embarrassed to be sitting there.
Exactly.
It amazes me that they could do that.
What happened in America? Who did it here?
Steve Carell.
And you know something? The first
you've
season,
never seen it?
No.
The first season, they kind of got away with it because they were really doing verbatim the English show. And then it turned into Carell just kind of taking the character into a whole nother area of just being retarded. Really just turning retarded instead of just that naive kind of weird.
And it's gone now forever.
Yeah.
It'll never come back, hopefully.
I don't think so. Well, the American show is still on, but the spirit of the English version lives on.
My favorite
Ricky Gervais.
One of my favorite moments is when he does the dance. Everybody talks about the big dance, but it's before that when he hints that if you want to dance, and you should have called me, and they're like, "You dance." And he goes, yeah, fuse flash dance with MC Hammer shit. And like that was his idea of a great fucking innovative way for a hip guy to dance. It's like, you want to just hang yourself watching it.
Yeah.
Why do you think so many shows, especially back in the 70s, really just came from England? They, a lot of the writers, I guess Norman Lear, decided, hey, we'll take this idea, incorporate it into American lifestyle, like All in the Family was...
Sanford and Son was Steptoe and Son?
Yeah, yeah, it's just odd that we decided that it would work like that.
But I think what was happening was in England, particularly the BBC where Python was, they were totally laissez-faire. Once they said yes to a show, that was it. You didn't have executives coming around there. You just did the show. I mean, And it was that kind of freedom, I think, that allowed really great comedy to come out of England, where in the States, it was still like the three main networks. It was only when cable came that suddenly the floodgates open, and cable suddenly, then The Simpsons, and suddenly we got South Park. And I find American comedy now is probably better than what is going on in England.
Well, the problem is cartoons still have freedom.
Yeah.
We talk about that a lot on our show too. You know, like the South Park and Family Guy could do whatever they want, but you know, now if it's not a cartoon, then there's all sorts of problems, and you can't do this and that, which is ruining, you know, good comedy.
I only discovered Family Guy about, I don't know, probably 7 months ago.
Wow.
I watch it consistently.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It is wonderful.
Yeah.
Has he ever been on Seth MacFarlane?
A few times. Yeah.
What's he like? What is he?
Pretty boring.
He's actually pretty,
I mean, I love Family Guy, but he's nothing like you, Terry.
Well, he's much funnier than I am. He's brilliant.
It was like pulling teeth with him, to be honest with you. But we're still a big fan. You know?
A scene in one of last night's episodes where they're obviously a quick cut, and they change. They're in a lab with a rabbit, and they put lipstick on the rabbit like they're testing cosmetics, and then just shoot the rabbit's head off and go, "Yes, the lipstick isn't bulletproof." It's just killing a little bunny rabbit.
It's brilliant stuff.
Yeah, great.
I mean, England has kind of lost it at the moment. I mean, Little Britain, does it come? Have you seen the English version of Little Britain?
I liked it.
Yeah, it became repetitive though. I mean, if you watch a lot of it,
it didn't take off here, unfortunately. We had those guys in. We liked them.
They're very funny.
And the first few episodes I saw, I definitely liked the show. Yeah. It was different in England.
No, it was the same thing, except they got to do more, and after a while they started repeating themselves a bit too much. And that was the thing I liked about Python. When we felt ultimately we were repeating ourselves, we just pulled the plug. And it was over. Because we're not surprising ourselves anymore. We're just doing the same shit.
Do you consider yourself like America? Do you live in America or England, or are you two homes?
I hope the police aren't listening, but I am no longer an American. 2 years, or was it 3 now, I renounced my American citizenship.
Wow.
Having lived 42 years in England and paying taxes in 2 countries for all that time, and discovering when I kick the bucket, the Americans will assess everything I own in the world and make me pay death duty. Not me, my wife, and my wife would actually have to sell the house to pay death duties. And so I said, enough.
Good for you.
I always heard that England, like for years, was always, oh my God, the taxes over there. Oh, it's crazy. But now I guess it's the other way around.
No, it's not. It's just the fact that, you know, what happens. I mean, we bought a house years ago, 25 years ago, for X amount of money, and as property does, it's skyrocketed. And just the house alone, the death duties on that, she would have to sell the house to pay it.
Yeah, the thought of paying tax after you die on your stuff.
Who came up with that one?
That you bought with tax money.
Yeah. Who came up with that?
And I mean, I've been rough enough on her in life, and I didn't think I should do it after I'm dead. You know?
No.
I got to jump in.
Some slack.
I hear you have a hard out at 8:30. So
what?
A hard out. What is that? A hard on. Terry Gilliam's got a hard on.
I have one question for Terry Gilliam. It's important.
Sure.
How, after 42 years, have you not adopted the phony accent that Madonna picked up in 3 days?
Yeah, I know. The woman's a chameleon. She's a chameleon. I mean, she took up tweeds and sitting on horses. And I bumped into Guy Ritchie in the airport one time, and she had fallen off the horse in this photo shoot, broke her arm. She hates horses, he said, but she had worked very hard to become a tweedy English horse riding woman. No. She got the Kabbalah, though. That's why she can do this thing.
She's a spiritual
Jewish
woman.
mysticism can change your accent overnight.
Yes. All of a sudden, she's talking like this, and you're like,
exactly.
wait a minute, you're from, where's she from, Detroit or something?
Yeah, no, she's Italian.
Yeah, where's
Ciccone.
Ciccone is right.
Well, the movie, we didn't realize you had to leave at 8:30. When I saw it, I'll watch the rest of it today. It was honestly fantastic.
Great.
It's, the acting is amazing. It's beautifully shot, and it's completely unpredictable. Like, I never felt like I knew what was about to happen in the next scene from the moment Ledger's introduced to Tom Waits' character. It's fantastic.
That's like many of this gentleman's movies.
None of it is
really
predictable.
None of it. You don't sit there and just go, oh, I know what's going to happen. Yeah, it's at the end you're just going, holy shit.
The funny thing about it is, kids, I've had 7, 8, 9-year-old kids, because adults see it like it's too sophisticated. Yeah. Kids get it before adults do. Adults have gotten frightened, structured, and they're missing the joy of
I guess
imagination.
It helps in my state of arrested development that I've been in for my entire life.
He's got to go.
Yeah, he's got to go.
Thank you.
Without a photo.
The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus comes out Christmas Day. I highly recommend it. It's easy to recommend this one. It was fucking unbelievable.
And please come back and see us. We're big, huge fans. We're just getting started with you. We can talk about a lot of stuff.
Tiger's
That's
blonde,
what I'm saying.
the woman?
Yeah.
We weren't lying to you.
The story continues.
Blonde woman rushed to the hospital from Tiger's house.
OJ on us. Don't go OJ.
Exactly.
I was saying this could be bigger than OJ. I think there's a lot more that's going to come out before this thing calms down. The great Terry Gilliam. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. I can go and talk dirty somewhere else now.
Man, that Terry Gilliam shit. Wow.
Hey, it's cool, man.
The fucking legend. I tweeted, I go, if you don't know who Terry Gilliam is, Google his ass. And then some people said, don't insult us, we know who he is. I'm talking about like maybe
dumb people.
Maybe dumb people or younger listeners. I don't know.
Yeah.
The guy is a fucking legend. I was telling Ann, it all started with Monty Python when we were growing up.
Yeah.
When you felt like you knew or you were getting into comedy or whatever, and what was funny, you felt like you knew a little more by being into Monty Python.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
If you had friends that didn't get it, they
you either got it or didn't.
They weren't your friends anymore. It was kind of like a crossroad.
You know, you're so right. In high school, something like, Monty Python. All right, bye. I can't be bothered with you. I got to find some Monty Python fans immediately.
I don't get it. You don't. All right, take it easy.
But do you think you either got it or didn't?
Yeah.
As far as Monty Python goes,
it was definitely one of those shows.
The meaning of life. When the Protestant broad is just, the Catholic broad, is just having kids left and right, and one falls on the linoleum floor in the kitchen, and she goes, "Could someone get that?"
Right.
And then the Protestant couple across the street, because they practice safe, fucking sex, have no fucking kids.
It was, especially back the actual TV show. Just like I was saying, those non sequiturs, those things that would just pop in.
Right.
And now for something completely different.
Sure.
And then they would just change. No segue, no nothing.
Right.
And it was, it was brilliant. It would make me laugh. And some people just didn't get it.
And I'm really happy that it looks like the new Terry Gilliam movie is going to be just fucking great.
I really did love what I saw, man. I just literally, it was just physically too late to finish it.
Good.
But god damn, is it well shot and brilliantly acted. I loved it.
And they figured out the Heath Ledger thing nicely.
Really smart, yeah.